Before we start the presentation, I would just like to acknowledge that we are in the Lekwungen, Songhees, and Esquimalt First Nations lands, and it is with gratitude that today we work, study, learn, and live in these lands. Today's webinar is about Royal Roads University Bachelor of Business Administration. It's a project-based learning bachelor, and I'm joined today by Liz Sentes, the BBA program head, a few of BBA students that are here to talk about their experience, and I'm also joined by my colleagues that are here to help us answer your questions. The agenda for today is the following. We will start with a brief overview of Royal Roads experience. We will follow with the Bachelor of Business Administration presentation, more in depth, and we will finish with admissions on how to apply. At the end, we will have a Q&A section where we are going to address the questions that are in the chat, or if you have a more specific question that you want to wait till the end, we are also going to address that then. So to start, why consider Royal Roads University? We have here some data that we would like to share with you. This was taken from an alumni survey, and it's just some good information that we wanted to share with you. So 93% of our alumni said that Royal Roads positively influenced their personal and professional lives. 92% of them felt supported by our faculty and staff. 90% of our alumni said that Royal Roads provided them with the tools and knowledge required to pursue a leadership role in the workplace, and 89% of that alumni said that Royal Roads provided them with knowledge that helped them to be innovative at the workplace. I'm also an alumni from Royal Roads University, specifically from the Bachelor of Business Administration program, and I also felt very supported throughout my studies by the faculty, and I created great connections that helped me later on in my work life. This is to talk about our space. I know that this is a webinar and we cannot see each other in person, but just so you are more familiarized with our campus, we wanted to share this. So the first image at the top left is Hadley Castle, which is a National Historic Site. And also it's been a movie set for a couple of movies. You might have seen it on Deadpool, X-Men. There's a couple of Disney movies and a couple of scary ones, I believe. So it's a very beautiful campus. We also have gardens. So in the next picture at the right, that's our Japanese garden. We have also the rose garden and different paths that you can walk on. So if you have the opportunity to visit campus, I encourage you to go for a walk there. It's really beautiful. The picture below in the left, that's the Esquimalt Lagoon. So our campus is like a hill, and that Esquimalt Lagoon is located at the bottom of the hill. That's a migratory bird sanctuary where you can see wildlife. And we also have some pretty nice classrooms located right next to the lagoon. So if you choose to join us, you might even have some workshops or classes in those buildings and get to experience those amazing views. And the last picture is just to showcase Royal Roads University's online presence. So Royal Roads University has been a university for 30 years, and we actually started as an online university, and we're very comfortable with the online space. We offer programs fully online, blended, or in person, and this picture is just to showcase that online presence. We also are holders of the Ashoka designation, which is given to institutions that prepare their students to address work programs in an innovative way. And we just like to show off that designation. And the last note about Royal Roads, I know that most of the attendees to this webinar will most probably want to start from years 3 and 4. But we would also like you to be aware that if that's not the case, or if you know someone else that might want to start from year 1, that's going to be an option starting in September 2025. We will be offering this bachelor degree starting from year 1. And what's special about these new programs is that at any point of your journey, you can earn a credential. So in year one, you would be studying to get a certificate. If you choose to continue to year two, you would be earning a diploma. And if you wish to finish year 3 and 4, you would be earning a bachelor's degree. So this is also an option, and we just wanted you to be aware of this. And now I'm going to pass it on to Lee, and he's going to talk a bit more in depth about the Bachelor of Business Administration program.
Great. Thanks very much, Karen. Welcome to everyone who's here that is brand new to the Royal Roads community and is just trying to understand what the BBA here at Royal Roads is all about, and maybe what project-based learning is all about too. If you're watching a recording of this, thank you very much for watching this recording. I have no doubt that both the people who are here as guests and also people who are watching the recording, you're going to have questions. And some of those questions might not get answered within this this webinar. We'll do our best, but if you're sitting at home in your pajamas and you're watching this and you have a question, please do contact the program staff at Royal Roads within the BBA program. They'll be able to answer all your questions related to admissions, what the program is like, how it all works. There's no bad questions ever at Royal Roads. I think what we're going to really focus on maybe for the next 10 minutes or so is this concept of project-based learning, because I think it's what really sets Royal Roads BBA experience apart from the other, great BBA experiences that you can have at other universities. There's nothing wrong with getting a BBA at any university. They're all going to give you something valuable at the end, which is going to help you as you progress in your career. It will help you move into potentially higher education beyond your undergrad. It'll help, hopefully you'll be able to leverage those experiences in order to help get job experiences too. And that's all great. I think those are expectations that any student should have about any program that they're enrolled in at any university. BBA at Royal Roads is different though. That whole concept of project-based learning is a new concept that a lot of universities have not yet experienced or experimented with. And it's something that's been in development and been in production here at Royal Roads since about September 2021. So we've had about 3 or 4 cohorts of students who have experienced project-based learning. So, I mean, first of all, think about what your regular expectations of a BBA is. So you can probably picture coming into big classrooms, lots of students, doing a marketing course, and then maybe doing a finance course, and then maybe doing a course that looks at something to do with the business models. And you'll take each of those courses separately. And you'll write exams and you'll write papers and all the good stuff that you expect from university when you see it in movies and maybe from high school, what you would expect a university environment to be. So that's what happens within regular BBA programs. And up until 2021, that's what happened here too at Royal Roads. But starting in 2021, we took a very different approach. We listened to employers in particular who were telling us, you know what, we don't need students who can regurgitate facts and figures. We don't need students who are very good at memorizing things. We don't need students who are just willing to sit quietly at their desk in whatever corporation and just kind of work quietly and not share their experiences or their ideas. That's not what we're looking for. We want students who can communicate, who can problem solve, who can work in teams, who can address real world situations in organizations of every shade and color and size and conceptualization, from public sector through to business, nonprofit, the whole bit. We need students who can really deal with the challenges and complexities of what what is happening all around us, both environmentally, socially, economically. Very dynamic time that we're all living in at the moment. And a regular BBA experience where there's an emphasis on memorizing things, regurgitating that information at the right time, passively sitting at the back of the class and hoping that nobody pays attention to you. Those are all, they're not emphasizing the soft skills that employers are looking for. So the project-based learning program at the BBA is designed in order to not only give you the foundations that you need in order to operate within a business environment, but also build you as a professional, as a person who is able to then take their experiences and who knows what organization you're going to be able to apply those experiences in. So that ability to communicate, that ability to work in a team, that ability to solve complex problems that don't necessarily have a right answer, that can't be solved by just memorization and regurgitation. That's the whole concept that drove the university to explore this idea of project-based learning. So instead of sitting in a class that's all marketing, sitting in a class that's just finance, you're going to be actually dealing with projects, and you're going to be dealing with real problems from real clients, real organizations from the public sector, nonprofit sector, private sector, who we find who have challenges and issues within their organization, and they need your help to solve them. And the emphasis here is that the decisions that you make, the work that you do within that project-based learning environment, they make real impact on the clients. So it's not like opening up a book and working on a case study, and that case study has always been in that book, and it's some fictitious organization. No, this is a real client that comes in from a local bakery or a local concrete manufacturer or a local municipality who's dealing with food security issues. And they need your help to think through and dig into and do research that helps them in the evolution of their own business. So instead of taking those courses, you're working on projects. The projects are in length anything between 3 weeks through to probably 6 to 7 weeks would be our longest project. And you're over the 16 months of the program itself, you can probably expect that you're dealing with maybe 10 to 12 different clients, real world actual clients. And the kind of variety that you get with the different project types gives you the ability to learn about finance, to learn about marketing, to learn about business models, and to do all of that in a real world setting where the work that you do as a student actually has impact. I mean, it's all very nice in a traditional BBA program that, you go and you write some exams and you write some papers, super duper, and that's fantastic. And it's useful to your own ability to build some of your skills. But that feeling that you get at the end of a project when you deliver the final deliverable to the client, and they're sitting there in the audience, and you just stood up there with your team and you presented your findings, and you can see that your findings have opened up new ideas and new areas for the client. It's a fantastic feeling, and you are not going to get that in other BBA environments. It's something that's particular to project-based learning. So at the end of the 16 months, if you compared it to the same year 3 and year 4 in a regular BBA, you're covering the same material. You're doing the same amount of information. You're learning the same skills that you would learn within all of those range of courses that you would expect to have at a BBA. But it's happening in a very dynamic and very creative space within the project-based learning environment. And so in terms of basic knowledge, you're coming out with that same basic knowledge, but you've got the value add of now you have experienced challenging communication scenarios. Now you have experienced working in a team. Now you have experienced actually working with real clients. So when you go out into the job market, you're not like freaked out over the fact that you're in an environment where you're suddenly dealing with people who know a lot more than you because they've been working at that organization for however long. You know that you've been in that scenario before. The confidence that comes along with that, it's something that is really hard to measure. But our hope is that what it does is it gives you a leg up beyond what other students from other universities and other programs would have, and that you're actually able to stand out from the crowd because your learning isn't theoretical, your learning is applied. And that all happens within, again, that project-based learning environment. So to give you an idea of what it looks like logistically, there's 4 terms. Each term is 15 weeks maximum length. You are working on usually 3 projects per term. Each one of those projects between 3 to 6 or 7 weeks. You're in class 4 days a week. So you could think Monday to Thursday, and you're in class for from 10 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon with a 1-hour break. So it's 4 hours of class. During that time, you're interacting with people, instructors that have real life experience of things. You're interacting with the clients. You're problem solving dynamically within the team. There's no right answers here. There's no expected answers. And so you are really spending an awful lot of time with your teammates working on whatever project it is to hand with the guidance from your instructor and with input from the client as many times as we can engineer that to happen. So it's a very, very different environment than being kind of an anonymous person in a class of 200, sitting at the back of a marketing course, a year 3 marketing course at another university. The instructors are going to know your name. We're going to be able to help you in ways that are much more structured and much more dynamic than in bigger, more traditional programs. And you're going to come out of this and realize after the 16 months that you have been operating as really a junior consultant. So the same things that you would be trying to learn on the job if you were a regular BBA student, all of a sudden you're going to realize that I've had those experiences. I've made that spreadsheet. I've done that marketing campaign. I made that survey. I know how this stuff works and what doesn't work. And that really puts you in you're much more of a commodity, I think, at that point. Than other students. And again, I'm not trying to downplay what your experience could be in other BBA scenarios. I would say project-based learning, it might not be for everyone. So you want to think about this, whether it's right for you. But definitely, if you're looking for something which is challenging, which is real world, which allows you to develop skills that employers are looking for, it's not just the degree that you get, it's the skills that you show when you are in that work environment. And they say, have you ever done a life cycle analysis? And you say, well, in fact, I have. And I did it for this, this municipality. And, their eyes are going to light up much more than if you simply, rattle back the definition of what a life cycle analysis is. So that it really does put you in a different space once you get into the work and the workplace. So hopefully that's given you a basic overview of what project-based learning is all about, how it differentiates itself from other regular BBA experiences, and maybe makes you think, what do you want out of your degree once you have hit the finish line and you're out into the real world? Close your eyes and imagine, like, what skills are you going to find valuable and that you want to be able to kind of walk down the street knowing that you own. That's it's a fantastic thing to think about. It's a very exciting time for you if you're deciding these decisions. And yeah, any questions that you have about how project-based learning works, we might be able to dig into it a little bit. We've got Steve Smith here, who is one of our past students who's actually just recently graduated. And yeah, we'll dig into it a little bit more there. We also have Emily Mulrooney, who is also experienced the first year of project-based learning. And Karen has experienced the BBA before, but not the project-based learning part of it. But who knows? Maybe we'll rope you in with some questions here too, Karen. So I don't know, do we want to, are there any questions that people want to ask now? Maybe just unmute your microphone and let me know, or do we want to move forward in our slides? Let's see if there's any questions. I'm just opening up the chat. Okay, Steve, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good.
You are a hyper super recent graduate. You just finished off your capstone.
No, just started my capstone actually.
Oh, you've just started your capstone. That's right. So you are on the road. You can see the end in sight.
Oh,
but
yes.
You've been with us since not just this past September, but the September before. So I've got a few questions here for you, Steve. They should be pretty easy for you. But my first one is, just could you tell us a little bit about what it's like to study a business program that's got such a strong emphasis on project-based learning? What did that mean for you? How did that show up for you?
I think for me, I mean, you went in pretty good detail there about what it's like doing project-based learning versus regular school, and that was one of the things that was most attractive for me for this program, because I've done post-secondary before, but I've always been that student that I can learn the material and I can apply the material, but I don't test well. I can't cram a bunch of information into my brain and go and spit it out onto a piece of paper and feel like I've accomplished something. So that was the big benefit for me, and the big attraction for me to a program like this was you're learning everything as you go and you're immediately applying it. So it, for me and for other people that learn the same way that I do, it made more sense more quickly, and you're able to retain that knowledge because you have the experience in applying it. So that was the big difference for project-based learning versus traditional university education.
Yeah. And what I'm just curious, what really, in that first week, first 2 weeks, or even maybe the first project, was there anything that made you go, whoa, this is maybe not what I was expecting, and quite different, and maybe even a little bit challenging? Who knows?
I think kind of what stuck out the most in the first couple of weeks is for our group was a bigger one. I think we were 22, I think, in the beginning there, with the exchange students that kind of came and went. I think the biggest thing was, first day, first week, you're in there and everybody's got to start interacting. Whereas, my previous experience in university, you go into a lecture hall of 280 seats and nobody talks to anybody, and you just listen to the professor lecture, and then you pack up your books and you move on to the next one. So the assignments didn't necessarily start right away, but the effort was there to get us interacting and mingling and getting to know each other, and really breaking that ice, which was super important when you're about to, I think 2 or 3 weeks in, we dove into our first project, and it was it was go time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're kind of in maybe a little bit of a different scenario than some of our other students. You've got a little bit more life experience. You're also in the military at the moment, and you've obviously got hopes and dreams of where you're hoping you're going to be able to leverage this degree. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that? How do you think the program itself, the way it was designed, how might that help you in the future?
I mean, so many different skills and topics that were learned throughout the program can even apply to my military career moving forward. Specifically, I work in air traffic control, so there's elements of that involving airport management and projects. And I was actually just speaking with Todd, one of the instructors for the program, about using these skills moving forward. And my capstone is kind of based on project optimization or portfolio optimization. When you have competing priorities or multiple projects that need to be done, how do you figure out what's the most important, what has the most impact, what has the most value? And those are skills that I'm going to be able to apply moving forward in the military, moving forward once I leave the military, if I ever leave it. And yeah, so like learning those skills and learning how to apply them right away was definitely helpful.
Nice. Emily, I'm going to turn some questions towards you, if it's okay. Just because you've also got the experience within that project-based learning environment. You graduated a couple years ago now, but at a different stage in your life. Steve's got a few more, sorry, Steve, I'm not trying to call you out here, but you got a few more years on you, okay? And Emily, you're in many respects very indicative of the kind of age group that we usually get within the BBA, where they are at within their careers. So I'm just curious, those same kind of questions. What was that project-based learning environment like for you? What did you think was valuable coming out of that, and maybe what have you been able to apply?
It was valuable because, like Steve, I had been in post-secondary beforehand, and you get the lecture experience and maybe some tutorials, but I really like to learn by doing. I like to have a purpose in what I'm doing, and I like to feel like I'm actually accomplishing something. And so the BBA project-based program was really great because we have these clients, they have a problem for us to solve, and we get to learn new things, new tools that we actually get to apply, and then later on see our client either implement it or implement some kind of version of what we've done. And so there's this sense of um, purpose that I really enjoy. And I would also say I really enjoyed the collaboration aspect. A lot of people, group work is challenging wherever you are. A lot of people have issues with it, but the reality is wherever you work, you're going to be working in teams, you're going to be working in groups. And so the skills that I learned in this program are so invaluable, um, even just in personal relationships too. And there's team coaches, and a lot of modules that you learn where you're supported on how to work in teams. And so you have strategies, you have the tools, you have people who are there to support you through this process. So even in moments where you're like, oh, this is so frustrating, there's always learning to be had, and there's always breakthroughs where you realize, oh, this is what I could have done differently, or this is how we work together or leverage each other's skills. So those would be, the major differences.
Yeah, nice. I think just to bring Karen in here just for a second, I know, Karen, you haven't experienced the project-based learning BBA, but one of the things that hasn't changed are something that Emily alluded to, the services that are available here at Royal Roads. And I think there's a few slides that go directly into the services, but also maybe just the instructors. What was it like to work with the instructors that you had at Royal Roads? Because some of those would be still the same.
Yeah, I actually did have project-based learning as well when I was a student. So I just would like to piggyback on what Emily mentioned, I also enjoyed having the opportunity to see what we were learning in class being applied to the real world, because I started the BBA right after graduating high school. So I didn't have that experience before. And that was always something that really made me anxious, because when you are thinking about the future and you haven't experienced that work life, you kind of like are very anxious. You don't know what to expect. You don't really understand how everything that you're learning in class applies to the real world. And having the opportunity to work with a client and actually apply what you're learning was very valuable to me. And it also helped me make connections as a newcomer to Canada. And that helped me later on in the workplace. And about the instructors, again, my experience was great. I felt very supported by staff and faculty. And as a newcomer to Canada, because I was an international student, it really, the class size was super valuable to me, because I got to make those new connections that are always needed when you're a newcomer. And the instructors really got to know me personally, and they got to know my strengths and weaknesses. And I was advancing with them. It felt like a team effort, because I got to create those personal relationships with the instructors. And that really helped me feel supported and be successful in the program, I feel. And they also like that nice connection that you create and relationship that you create with them also helps when you graduate, because since they know you personally, they can actually write more personal reference letters, or they know you, so they are like, oh, okay, I have this opportunity, or I heard about this and I think you would be great. Whereas if you go to another university where instructors only know you by a number, it's kind of difficult to have. So yeah, the instructor experience was also great for me, and I appreciated having the opportunity to get to know them more personally.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, the way back in time when I was doing my undergraduate, my name wasn't Lee. It was 91111, or sorry, 9111-2910.
Yeah.
That's who I was. And if I didn't have that number on anything that I was handing in, it wasn't marked, because that's the only identifier that the school had on me. So, the whole kind of like, I am not a number, is just like, that's very much at play here. One of the things that we really try and do too in the program is try and make space for students to be able to apply what they already know, and to be able to kind of grow that, and be able to kind of realize that the stuff that they already know is very valuable too. And I wonder, Steve, is there anything that maybe you could tell? I know this isn't one of the questions. I'm riffing here, but that ability to leverage your own life and work experience in order to add richness to that team. I wonder if you have anything that you might say to that.
I can actually give an example of a situation. I think it was this past semester, but we did a project based on governance policies for a not-for-profit, various structures for our board of directors and that sort of thing, and governance policies and bylaws and whatnot. And I actually have experience in the past sitting on the board of directors for the Military Family Resource Center at the last base that I was at. So really, like, having that understanding of the dynamics of how a board of directors works, how a not-for-profit works, really helped me bring some pretty significant value to our teamwork. And I also kind of branched out with that knowledge and supported other teams as well, because knowing what it was like when I first became a director on that board, and it was a very, very foreign world to me, and I didn't really understand, the ins and outs of it. But over time, I think I was on that board for just over 2 years, and really gained that knowledge and that experience on how that works. And it was super exciting for me actually when that project came up, and I was like, yes, something I know about. Because a lot of the projects you'll find, is something you've never seen, you've never done before, which is also super cool and exciting, but can also be very intimidating sometimes. So I was a little more comfortable going into that project, and it was kind of cool just being able to leverage something from my past experiences and kind of expand on that moving forward.
Nice. Yeah, and if you're listening, and this isn't meant to like make you quake in your boots that you have to come into this space with all kinds of like lived experience. Most of our students are between the ages of 19 to 23, and have not a lot of professional work experience yet. Why? How could they? However, it's amazing how much you already know about how to work with others, how to make friends, how to ensure that relationships, if they get a little bit tense, ways to work around it. Also, an understanding of products and services that you interact with already and what you expect of them. And so what we hopefully do within the project scenarios is we're not teaching you the right way to do things. We're giving you space to, yes, learn and apply new information, but also to leverage what you already know, because that's also very valuable. And to be able to both validate and question those knowledge areas too, so that it evolves and you grow as a person. And so there's a lot of support that we're able to give, mainly because we've got we don't have 100 students in a class. It's much smaller, and the model itself allows for us as instructors we don't really know where it's going to go within the project, and we're learning together. I'm learning beside you as we explore how we can provide solutions to for this client. So I don't have any other questions for our guests here, and I am also aware of time. I know we've got a few other areas that we want to cover within this space, but thank you very much for putting up with my odd, unscripted questions in some respects. I think you did a great job. And obviously, if there are students out there who are listening or potential future students who are listening right now, if they have questions, feel free to ask right now if you want. Or contact us, and we'd be happy to answer any of those questions too via another medium. So I'm going to turn my microphone off and hand back to Ariana. Are you taking over from here?
I sure am. Thank you so much, Lee. Yeah, thank you. That was great. Appreciate the discussion, everybody. It's so nice that you were all able to share your experiences. So hopefully that gives our future students a great idea of what possibly to expect in our BBA program. So as Lee mentioned, feel free, folks, to type any questions in the chat, and we're happy to get to them kind of throughout in these last few minutes. I'll just go over a few quick pieces on how to apply. So if you are thinking of joining us for the upcoming intake or any future intakes, just a few quick things of note here. So at Royal Roads, as far as admissions goes, we have two pathways. We have standard admissions and flexible admissions. So I'll quickly just touch on both. So standard admissions for the BBA program looks like 60 college or university credits, including 24 second-year credits in any discipline from a recognized post-secondary institution with a minimum GPA of a B. As well, we also have a ton of block transfer agreements, and those are on our website, so feel free to explore those as well. And then we have flexible admissions. I believe Steve touched on just a little bit of like work experience and life experience, and that's reflected in our flexible admissions. It's one of my favorite offerings at Royal Roads, one of my favorite parts to talk about. So flexible admissions, if you don't have that kind of post-secondary experience, there's another path for you. For the BBA program, it looks like 5 years of full-time work experience with at least 3 years at a supervisory, management, or project lead level. And then strengths gained through work, previous studies, volunteer, or personal development in those areas listed on the screen. So like business, entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, you'll see them all there. And then also the statement of intent. So that's part of our application process at Royal Roads, really laying out through almost like a cover letter if you were applying to a job, kind of laying out what you want to get from the program, what do you hope to bring to the program, and really what are your intentions with applying. and it's assessed on a case-by-case basis as well. So I should also mention, this is not something that you choose when you apply. This is just a couple of avenues that we have for you depending on what your situation, but it's assessed accordingly by our admissions team. We also have some language requirements. So English is the primary language of instruction at Royal Roads. If your primary language is not English, we have, again, some options here for you. That looks like holding a credential from an English-speaking country, submitting an English language proficiency test, or completing one of our Global Learning and Language Center programs here. And thank you so much to my colleague Tracy for popping those links in the chat as well, just some helpful links as we go along. And then if you're wondering how to apply, a few steps to note here. So we have first an online application fee of $136.69, and then we ask for some supporting documents. So those look, again, things like transcripts from any post-secondary, a detailed resume, really going into detail about your work experience and life experience, personal statement or statement of intent, as I mentioned there, and then 2 letters of reference. So those can be either professional or academic in nature, and then those English language requirements as well. And then some key dates, folks. So if you are thinking of joining us, we have a new, or the next start date, not a new start date, September 2nd, 2025. And then the application deadline will be in June 2025. And it is January, so June, I believe, will be here before we know it. So there's no time like the present. If you're thinking of applying, now is a great time to do it. And then we also have a start date in 2026. If you're looking a little bit farther into the future, also a possibility. And all of these details I'll mention too are on royalroads.ca on our website. So you can read all about the key dates and things like that. More information there as well. And then, as Lee mentioned, some services that are available. Just touch on these very briefly. So we have, of course, our financial aid and award services. So you can explore financial resources. Of course, going back to school, this is a big step, right? So we have things like loans, bursaries, scholarships, emergency funding, student research scholarships, all kinds of stuff there. It's a great part of our website. You can really search and filter through what applies to you. So be sure to check that out. And then my friends, our enrollment services, we have Tracy here. So thanks again to Tracy for being with us. But they can be reached at learn.more@royalroads.ca. And then there's some phone numbers as well for local and toll-free for North America on the screen if you want to give them a call. And they can really help you narrow down your program options and also connect you with students and alumni. So if you want to have a chat with somebody, that's great as well. They can set you up with that. And at this point, folks, I will stop talking. Thank you so much to everybody. Of course, thank you to Lee for your wonderful facilitation. Thank you to Tracy, Steve, Emily, Karen, so many wonderful folks here today supporting us. So we really appreciate that. I don't believe we have any questions here in the chat, but again, if you have any questions, folks, please reach out, learn.more@royalroads.ca, and we can help you out from there. And I'll also be sending this, of course, in my follow-up too. With that, Lee, I'll just give you the floor one more time. Any last words or things you want to say to end off the presentation here?
Really, it's just an ask that you think about this and consider this if you're exploring your options for the BBA. And, do try that exercise of closing your eyes and asking yourself, where do you want to be in a couple years once you have actually graduated? Because, chances are very good you're actually going to graduate and you're going to come out and enter into the real world. How do you want to walk down that street? What kind of skills do you want to be clothed in at that time? So yeah, I think that's all I would add at the end. But thanks very much for coming along and for listening.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lee. I appreciate it. And again, thanks everybody. And we hope, of course, we'll see you in our BBA program and on the webinar next time. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.